Hello, my name's Darren McQuaid and welcome to Magic Ghostbuster HQ, home of the world's largest Ghostbusters collection as verified by Guinness World Records. So I have been collecting Ghostbusters pretty much my whole life. I have played with all the real Ghostbusters toys when I was a child, dressed up, rung around my Proton pack. Ghostbusters 2 was the first film I ever saw at the cinema, and I wore out all the VHS tapes we had at home. There are 2012 items verified by Guinness World Records in my collection, which was enough to completely dwarf the previous record. However, there are a lot more that we didn't count. So let me take you on a little tour, but just before that I just need to feed someone. There you go, Slimer, I've got a cookie for you. Is that nice?
Yummy and Slimer's tummy!
The first pieces of Ghostbusters merch that most people my age got was of course the classic Kenner figures, and I have many of those dotted around HQ. I have some behind me. We have the Haunted Humans here. Up here I have the Fright features, which were of course the Ghostbusters. When you pushed their arm in, they did crazy expressions. And then up here we have some of my favourites. We have the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who was probably my favourite Kenner figure as a child. Then of course we had Slimer, who at the time they just called the Green Ghost on the toys, they didn't call him Slimer. For a lot of people nowadays, the Ecto Glow Heroes are the Holy Grail, and these were the last of the Kenner figures to be released, and they fetch very high prices on eBay when they come up for sale. But for me, the Holy Grail always was and always will be the original 4 figures of Egon Spengler, Winston Zeddemore, Ray Stantz and Peter Venkman. So many happy memories playing with these as a child. And of course it wasn't just figures that Kenner made, they made lots of vehicles and role-playing weapons, as well as the ectoplasm, which I wasn't allowed as a child. My mum thought it would be too messy, though she denies throwing it away nowadays. One of the cooler things I like here, now if you were a child of the 80s you may have had one of these. This was the Ghost Zapper, which projected ghosts onto your wall. What you may not know is they actually did a mail-away disc, which gave you 6 extra ghosts. One of the earlier pieces of Ghostbusters promotional merchandise was this Ghostbusters Fly Swatter, and Bill Murray actually took one of these on the David Letterman show. Hiding away in here in front of a lot of other stuff that is hiding is what I'd consider the ultimate Ghostbusters toy, the Lego Firehouse and the Lego Ecto-1. If I had a time machine, these are the things I'd definitely send back to young Darren. So here are a couple of cool things. We have translights for the real Ghostbusters Happy Meals. These would have went on a light box in a McDonald's restaurant, so light would go through and really make them stick out. And what's even rarer with this one is this cardboard price sign. As you've seen already, there's lots of random Ghostbuster stuff at Magic Ghostbuster HQ, including this chairback from one of the slot machine games. It's hard to pick a favourite item amongst this collection, but this will definitely be in the top 10. This is an original carton of 5 Alive, where they did a promotion for Ghostbusters 2. There were different Ghostbusters holograms to collect, and this was my favourite drink as a child. This is still sealed and went out of date November 1990. I have these Ghostbusters masks that were incredibly fragile. I had the Stay Puft when I was younger and it didn't last very long. Even this one you can see has lots of cracks around the edges. So we're in a bit of a tight space now. This is one of the corridors in Ghostbusters HQ. We have some lounge fly bags, lots of different ones of those. And then this display here is a Walker's Crisp display where they would use in the shops to display the crisps for Ghostbusters Afterlife. They did a promotion over here in the UK. Here is one of the packets of Monster Munch, of course, with mini puffs on. More recently, for Frozen Empire, they did the same promotion and they added Slimer to some of the bags. One of my favourite things in this area is this cup. This is for one of the cinema cups from here in the UK for Ghostbusters 2. They did do a version for AMC in America. Other than the logo of the cinema, they're identical. But I had one of these when I was younger at the cinema. Now, it doesn't look very big nowadays, but to young Darren, this was like drinking Coke from a bucket, and I spent quite a lot of time going to the toilet. Here's a one-of-a-kind Ghostbusters colouring book that they actually forgot to print the pictures in. Luckily, I can fix that, and why not colour it as well? Now, I call myself the Magic Ghostbuster because I'm a professional magician and I decided to mix that with my love of Ghostbusters. So let me just show you a very quick trick before we continue the tour. So I'm going to show you some cards here with pictures of ghosts on. See if you can see these ghosts. There should be a ghost in that one. How about that one? And this one. And this one. Now, most people should have a high enough psychokinetic energy to see this ghost. This is, of course, Slimer. And now Slimer's a very sneaky ghost. If you take Slimer out and give him a tap, he disappears from there and jumps back over there. Now that you've seen Slimer, your psychokinetic energy should have gone up. You should be able to see the rest of the ghosts now. There's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, the Library Ghost, Zor the Terror Dog. Now, if you were to find these ghosts at home, who are you going to call? Well, of course, the Ghostbusters. One of my prized possessions, which might actually not look like much, is this. This is the production pass I wore when I worked on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which went under the name Firehouse. I was very lucky to work as a supporting artist for a couple of days on that amazing film. And as you can imagine, for someone who grew up with Ghostbusters, it was an amazing experience. And since working on that film, I've managed to obtain a few of the crew items, including hats, coats, and my personal favourite, the crew coin. So we have some cool things over here. We have the re-releases of the original figures by Hasbro a couple of years ago. We have a lot of mini puffs. These ones, the smaller ones, were mystery ones that come in tubs of marshmallow. It was a mystery which one you got. And then we have the Plasma Series mini puffs, which I made a lot of customs with. That's one of my favourite things are at the back, which are leaflets from a shop called Woolworths here in the UK. This one was a Spot the Ghost competition, and this one was to mail away for the massive Cityscape backdrop. And then back there we have the shredded wheat box, which for Ghostbusters 2 had pictures from the film on the back that you'd get stickers to stick on and make up a scene. I really like this quarter scale Slimer statue made by Hollywood Collectibles, just eating food from the cart in the Sedgwick Hotel. They did also make the 4 Ghostbusters themselves, which I do have, but unfortunately due to space they are boxed up at the moment. I've been very fortunate to meet many of the people involved with the making of Ghostbusters, including Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd, who signed this Crystal Head vodka bottle for me, and one of my favourite items is this Stay Puft hand, which was made and signed by Billy Bryan, who made and wore the original costume. Behind me we have a replica of the Firehouse sign made by Hollywood Collectibles, something I never intended to buy because it is rather large, but I saw my friend Chris's and just had to go home and buy it. There's lots of stuff hanging behind it as well. Above me here are the 12-inch Matty collector figures, who also made 6-inch figures, and they were the first time that the film versions of the Ghostbusters themselves were made in figure form. So here's something that every Ghostbusters fan dreams of owning, and that is a replica Proton Pack. I use this at all the events I go to, whether it's solo or with my good friends, our group, the Southend-on-Sea Ghostbusters. Now, this was made from a Ben of Kent kit. It was handmade by me and doesn't count towards the Guinness World Record because they only count official merchandise. This was not an official item. However, I do have the official Hasbro Plasma Series Proton Pack, and that one does count. This was one of my holy grail items for a long time. It's a stunt kite. I had one of these when I was younger and it blew away. I spent years and years searching for one of these and never found one. I pretty much gave up until I come across one, buy it now on eBay really cheap, I don't think I've ever hit that buy it now button so quick. Up here we have the many variants of the Stay Puft Money Banks with lots of Funko Pops behind them. We have lots of cool random items over here. We have some of the modern figures, we have some of the older stuff like the plaster moulding set, we have candy torches, a Ghostbusters Ecto-1 soap dish. One of my favourite things is the set of 4 character toothbrushes of all 4, because stuff like this is the stuff that people didn't really think to keep back in the day, which makes them super rare. We've also got the No Ghost gumball machine, and I thought this was a cheeky little bit of merchandise. The Ghost in a Can, where they could basically sell you an empty can of Coke. They did these for the original film, and if you went to Wimpy and got their kids meal during Ghostbusters 2, you got one for that as well. And then one other little random bit, some Ghostbusters shampoo. I do enjoy making my own Ghostbusters items as well, including this caution stripe watch, this slimed bathtub figure. I have made a replica of the mink coat ghost from Ghostbusters 2, and I enjoy painting as well. I've done quite a few different paintings, including Slimer cosplaying as Stay Puft, and several paintings of Ghostbusters characters crossed over with cereal box artwork. Out of all the commercially available items I own, this is definitely the rarest. I have never found another collector with one of these. This is a box of Ghostbusters 2 Christmas crackers. The box is original. Unfortunately, the crackers themselves are just modern day crackers. I do have some of the Slimer card fronts from the crackers, but I really want to find an original cracker, even if it's just to look at so I can make a reproduction for display purposes. So if you've got an original, get in touch. Well, I'm afraid duty calls. I hope you enjoyed this very brief look at the collection inside Magic Ghostbuster HQ. Thank you for watching, and a massive thank you to Guinness World Records for verifying this as the world's largest Ghostbusters collection. And never forget, if there's something strange in your neighbourhood, you know who to call.
Want to give a big shout out to the Magic Ghostbuster. Hey Darren, very, very impressive.